Sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes we are just fulfilling our purpose. The way we think, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And the numbers go up, they go down. Sometimes they stop and start over again. It can be quite repetitive. We have structured our lives to a clock, but we move through this life based on cycles, not time. So, how many times have you revolved around the sun? Depends on your age, because our ages are measured by the number of trips we've taken around our star. If you think about a plant, you're looking at this plant and it's just sitting there. It seemingly isn't doing anything. And seemingly the plant does nothing all day. It doesn't move anything. You look at this plant and think, this lazy plant, it just sits around all day. But when you look at a time-lapse video of that same plant, you see that the plant is doing something. In fact, the plant is doing something all day long. And the plant is actually moving all day long. Of course, the plant is rooted into the ground or limited to a pot, but the plant spends its entire day reaching for the sun. When we eat on a cycle. We try to, of course, time our meals, but the cycle wins in the end. It's the cycle which lets you know when to eat again, no matter what time it is. Our bodies cycle through nutrients. Our digestive system cycles food through the body. It cycles through hormones and emotions. Relationships work on a cycle, don't they? They are not really linear. Sometimes they are very short cycles that only last a minute or two. Sometimes they are cycles that last decades. You initiate the relationship, you get to know the person, and you cycle through the ups and downs of that relationship until the relationship cycle ends. Then what happens? It starts over with someone else, or it repeats itself with that same person, but the cycle always wins. Some people try to extend the length of the cycle by counting. In females, there's a menstruation cycle that women constantly try and time, but the cycle always wins, doesn't it? When you exercise, there is a cycle, isn't there? You warm up, you work out, you cool down, and you recover. Then, once you recover, you start the cycle over again. Speaking of recovery, there is also a cycle to sleep. Non-rapid eye movement stages 1, 2, and 3. Then we enter REM sleep, and the cycle starts over again. So, when we know and understand that everything moves in this manner, in cycles, when we understand that life moves in cycles, we shouldn't be perplexed when the cycle ends. Be resolved in the beginning and you will not be perplexed. You won't be surprised and taken back. We cycle through the education system. We cycle through jobs and careers, right? That's why there is such a thing as retirement. And as easy as it is to understand this concept of life, we are still perplexed about hardships. When challenges are something that we also cycle through. Those are the cycles that you want to end quickly. You learn from that experience and you work towards shortening the length of the hardship cycle when it comes around again. And it will, because it is a part of life. That's part of the cycle of life. Think about the hero's journey. What is the hero's journey? You start off in the ordinary world. You may be down on your luck. You may be lacking something or missing something from your life. something may have been taken from you. You are in the beginning of this journey in a deficit, because it's the only reason you begin that journey in the first place, because you want to obtain something. Then there is that call to adventure. Something or someone comes along unexpectedly with a challenge, question, an opportunity that you may feel is something that is not exactly what you are looking for, so you reject it. You refuse the call, which is the next stage. The refusal of the call. You weigh the pros and cons. You're just not in the mood, and so you reject the call. And the reason you refuse the call is because you need the opportunity or call to come with some type of motivation and a strong reason. A reason to move your butt. So what happens next is you meet with a mentor or someone who gives you wisdom or advice on what to do next, but the mentor never stays with you the entire journey. The mentor just helps you to make a decision. And once you make that decision, you enter the next stage, which is crossing the threshold. Now you're committed. Now you're on a mission. And you enter into a world that is much different than the ordinary world, a special world, because now you're moving. You're going through more life cycles. You have defeated the guardian that stands at the gate of the threshold. And now comes the test and challenges, the many battles that come in between you and your destination. This is when new information is revealed to you. It is when new information is revealed about you. Sometimes you gain a new ability or skill, or you make a new friend along the way. You gain both allies and enemies. Sometimes those allies will accompany you into the innermost cave, which is the next stage. It is a place of danger that often contains a hidden object or secret of the quest at hand. If you keep going, you run into what is called the supreme ordeal. This is something dangerous that you face either physically or mentally, and it is the very thing that often breaks you down. It is something that you have to survive. It is the game level boss that you have to fight over and over 15 times before you defeat them. And when you survive it, you move forward into seizing the sword or reaching for the reward, the treasure, the knowledge. And now, you, the hero, must face the outcome of the journey. You must face the consequences and make a decision to return to the ordinary world or push on to the end goal. This is the moment the hero seems defeated and tired, unable to engage in the final battle. But once you have decided to push forward, that is your resurrection stage. It is the last and final test of your ability to change and transform into something more. And this is what leads the hero to obtain their goal, slay the dragon, and return home to the ordinary world with the elixir, the knowledge, the respect, the freedom. You return home a hero with treasures, and you get to marry the princess. Or you fail in the end. And you repeat the cycle all over again. Now, did I just describe life in general? For some people, I just described their day. Think about this. People who walk around with problems following them, what is that? That is someone who has not cycled through that challenge and ended the cycle. They gave up or failed somewhere along that hero's journey, and so the cycle didn't end. They kept repeating the cycle. That's why some people who go to jail continue to get locked up. That's why people who cheat often continue to do so. That's why people who steal from, lie to, and assault others keep doing that. It is fear and the avoidance of pain, which keeps us from completing the cycle sometimes. Sometimes it's a matter of circumstance. Sometimes hurricanes want to cycle through our lives, but it's such a big storm, you can see it coming. But because it's such a big storm, you can't hide from it. Now, you can take shelter and wait it out, but that's pretty scary, not to mention risky. I guess the best thing to do in that situation would be to get out of the way of the storm. Why? Because it is a force of nature, and we know that there's more where that came from. And as human beings, we know that it is a destructive force. A hurricane doesn't bring happiness. You live on a planet that is constantly moving. Even when you are still, your heart is still beating. It's still moving blood through your body. The heart is still cycling blood through itself and through the arteries and veins of your system. The point of all this is all a part of life, and life comes with challenges. You are supposed to face adversity. You're supposed to. This is how you grow. The muscle only grows when you challenge it. So here's the end. Here is the real meat of this. You can control the cycle to a degree that satisfies reality. You can manipulate the outcome. Sometimes our biology and the way we are designed dictates the direction of the path to the outcome. But we have this superhuman ability to create our own path and cycle to create the outcomes that we want. That's God-given free will.